Hi students, welcome to the strategic analysis summary for Nctech. Now, if you are doing the exams on Tuesday, just make sure you have an idea only because don't have too much of mindset thinking what will come, what will not come. Your attitude should be anything can come, but you should be able to give the solution. So, first thing, students, when we are doing strategic analysis, we always need to identify the revenue stream from where we are getting money. If you observe, students, pay as you go service only, they are very transparent here. And that's the only revenue stream that we are getting at the moment. That is from infrastructure as a service, it's pay as you go. That means we don't have any subscription package or anything like that. It depends on the people's usage. So I'll write down here infrastructure as a service, but still pay as you go. This is our explicit revenue stream we have at the moment. So students, the next thing is students, customer segments. Because students, if you observe revenues, what we generate, there needs to be customer segments as well. Now, in this case, they say SME, and it is very much specific to Falun, the country in which we are operating. And then students, another thing, if I'm not mistaken, is they have something called the public cloud, but we don't have enough data about the clustering of the customer segment. So there are chances they may ask you to do a segmental analysis using the data so that we can become niche. Can you remember the term niche, students, in Porter's generic strategy? So that is one more thing. So one thing, students, as a student, you have to keep in mind before you go to the examination is Porter's generic strategy. Because students, as per the Porter's generic strategy, we are effectively cost leadership. Correct no students if I'm not mistaken. And we are not a differentiated provider at the moment. We are just a cost leadership provider. And also students, if you observe the strategic clock at the moment, students, currently due to better value creation from PaaS, that is platform as a service and other thing, we are currently in a stage where customers has many other options. So at the moment, it's a flux situation and sometimes the strategy may fail because students, we are not at the moment no frill or cost leadership in the strategic block because you have other players also in the market if you observe. So I believe that gives you a better clarity at the moment. So these are the customer segment. And then students, the next thing is customer sales channel. That is very, very important. How do we target the customer audience? At the moment, students, founders relationship. That is the only way that we have connected with the people. In simple language, students, direct marketing only they have mentioned. They have not mentioned any details about our website because our website detail is not given. So I'll just highlight that, students, website is not given, and then students, e-marketing is not given. So these are the indirect area that you can effectively think before you go to the examination. So have an understanding about that. And then students, if I'm not mistaken, is the next thing is customer activities. Now students, if you observe, customer activities are like loyalty program. Now at the moment, we don't have any loyalty schemes, right? Because 10 years old company, we may have some customers who are very genuinely liking us, but we are not giving any schemes for them. So you have to make sure there is some custom activities we are taking place in the future, marketing, promotion, nothing like that. So these are the areas which an organization needs to concentrate because students, these are green areas. Because if you observe revenue, because revenue is always what, students, if I'm not mistaken, it's a green area no students in simple language because the higher the revenue, the higher the chances of survival. But the only thing is pay as you go only we have at the moment. Now, students, the next thing, cost structure. Now, this is another area that we have to keep in mind, students, but at the moment, we don't have any details about the cost structure in detail. Example, students, since we are an infrastructure service, students, just to keep your understanding, there are some situations that we have to consider. For example, students, if you observe in the practical aspects, now if you observe what I just want to say is, students, like the director's remuneration. Now it has a close relationship with what? Corporate governance, right? Director remuneration, just to give you the understanding for your point of view. So just remember that perspective, students, because it is very, very important. And then students, I'll just write down director's remuneration and I'll just write down here corporate governance because as you already know, it's an issue at the moment. And the other thing is employee salary because that is also another issue, no students, because we are not aware about their salaries, what they are paid. That is one more thing. And can I just mention here performance measurement, employee performance measurement, why they are not happy, talent management, all those factors can be correlated here, students. This is one more thing again. And then students, another challenge that is associated with us is, if I'm not mistaken, the after sales service, because students, that is not mentioned, because after sales service is very, very important. How to manage it? Do we have any after sales services? For example, chatbots, or students, if I'm not mistaken, any team for doing after sales service. And then students, the server cost, because server and the network, students, if you observe, network cables are there, no students, if you see, those are expensive, it's not cheap. And then students, capital assets like computer, because computers are needed, if I'm not mistaken, data center cost. Now these are the costs they have not mentioned. And then students, fines can be there because of security breach. All these factors are the cost structures we have. And one thing we can effectively observe is our cost structure is too long and we have not done any segmentation for our revenue stream. Then students, if I'm not mistaken, key partners, because we need to have a formation with partners. At the moment, students, if you see our SME business pay as you go, we have not partnered with them because we have not joined a collaboration. No collaborations with any players. That is one more thing. No collaborations, because that is one thing. And then students, internet service provider. Now, if you see, internet is a main technology that is needed for this. Now you see Netflix, everything, they have collaborated with internet service providers where when a person is using Netbook, Facebook or Instagram, the data is little cheaper. But if you observe other websites, the data is very hard. So that can be another factor to be considered. And students, cybersecurity partners. We do not have any idea about any cybersecurity partners. So please keep that in mind, students. Those are very, very important that you have to keep in mind. You have to be very skeptical. And then students, regulatory bodies. At the moment, we don't have any regulatory bodies mentioned, because students, if you observe, there needs to be regulation because of the data privacy, everything. And then students, if I'm not mistaken, the key resources what we have. Now once again, students, they have not given any information about our head office or our data centers. Head office is not given, data center is also not given. And then students, the research and development, because that is very, very important, no students, that is also not given. And then students, another thing that we can keep into considerations, like key patents is not given, anything with regards to patents also nothing is given. And then students, another thing of key resources is, students, if I'm not mistaken, the customer data, that is also very, very important. The data of the people, that is a key resources. So these are the main things that are not there in our information. And then students, key activities. Now what are the key activities we do? Only three. If I'm not mistaken, infrastructure as a service, we only give the server functions only. But if you see, students, the other players, they have many more services what they are providing, and it has made it very good. So I'll give you an example of the software as a service, students. It's Dropbox, because students, you see, as people like us, in the initial stages when the cloud computing emerged, Dropbox was the company that most of the people were aware of, because it is helping us to save our documents in the cloud, and it is very easy for us in the future because we do not have much time to waste to go here and there. I believe that is clear for you. And then students, value differentiator. So I'll write down here value differentiator. So in the value differentiator, what I can effectively say is Farland based company. Now they may have that because local country, no students, if I'm not mistaken, like diamond theory, just keep in mind the local condition, like they say diamond, that is the factor advantage, the demand condition, all those things, home for many technological developments. So value differentiator is that. That is the only value differentiator we have. And pioneers, because students, we are one of the pioneers in Farland only, not in the world, in Farland only, to provide this service. I believe that everyone has got the clarity behind that. So students, in the exam point of view, just be careful or mindful, I can say. New sales proposal can come, like subscription packages, like that can come, or buy data for the storage, that can come, students, if I'm not mistaken. And then personalize and own platform, that can also start, that also can start. So can you please make sure that you are very much aware about these students because these are the ideology. So just remember, if you are sufficient with these thinking, more than enough to write an answer. Don't waste your time now on wasting on what can come, what can come. Your mind needs to be very fresh. So good luck, students. Thank you very much.